Good morning. Thank you to be here today. So we start the second day of this marathon. Today is discussing about climate change and communication. So yesterday we had a very interesting, very useful, very also warming discussion about the eco anxiety and so the role of the journalism on this aspect. And today we move our attention about the communication and at the corporate level. So then we discuss about what is the effort that the corporate have about the communication, the dissemination of the research about the innovation in the citizen, in the public engagement also. So I introduce a little bit myself. So I am Marco Piras. I am the director of the Master in Climate Change, Mitigation and Adaptation Solution. And so I am also deputy of the Department in Environment, Land and Infrastructure at the Politecnico di Torino. But today, so I am my role is the director of the Master. So then it's a pleasure to be here, to have organized this seminar, these 2 days of seminars, because every year we organize a special moment during the year in the master program in order to discuss about the communication, the role of the communication. Why? Because also in the COP29, so this week and the last week, the communication is one of the keywords. Because yes, it's important to do something, to discuss about the possible future action, but it's very, very important how to do the public engagement, how to have a collaborative approaches in order to reach, to obtain and to how to say, to reach goals about the how to say, also the government actions. So this is why we discuss with my colleagues and my staff about the organization of this seminar. In the master program, we have a specific subject dedicated to the communication, and so I have the honor that this subject is held by Marco Mero, that is today here, close to myself, and who helped me to organize this seminar. Before to leave the floor to Marco for introducing the topic of this seminar, I used a couple of minutes, first of all, for say a special thanks to the master school, because they support us in this organization. A special thanks to my staff, in particular Elisa, Sofia, Mabel, and Camilla, who helped me to organize the meeting yesterday and today. And also a special thanks to the speaker that today will sharing with us a very interesting subject and information related to the communication and what happens in the single corporate regarding the communication and dissemination. Also, a special thanks to the participant. So today we have also the student of the master program here. And so just a comments, yesterday we have spent a lot of time discussing about the importance of the word. And I think also that's one of the keywords is I think the transparency. I think that is very, very important today to be transparent, to be very, very clear with respect the citizen, because it's not, we don't have more time to sharing fake news or to sharing maybe not clear information. So it's the time to be very honest, first of all for ourselves, but even for the community. And yesterday, I think that one of the key words is the transparency, because even the use of some words is important. Yesterday, we have talked about this, also about the transparency regarding the innovation, how the corporates spend effort, additional effort for the innovation, the eco-innovation, and especially I think it's important for the corporate to sharing what are also the strategy, just to, I know that sometimes it's not clear to planning long-term strategy, because on the how to say government point of view is not clear the tracks, but I think that this is one of the aim that the corporate have to respect. So to be transparent in terms of what are the innovation and what is also the effort, because we know to respect the agreement, the environmental agreement means also to have additional effort in different point of view, human effort, money effort, and so on. But I think the good point to demonstrate to sharing that you trust in this innovation, in this also climate transition, in this new mentality. So this is what I'm waiting today for your discussion. So then I hope, and that's also today, but I'm totally sure that we have a very friendly and very interesting discussion during the seminar. And so I leave the floor to Marco for starting the meeting. So thank you again to be here and for your participation.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Piras. So hello, everyone. Yes, yesterday we had, I think, really a great day, great seminar, really interesting, a lot of things, many ideas, many triggers into the loop. So I think we have had a seminar, but possibly we acted like, as a think tank, possibly. So many ideas everywhere. So it was really nice.
Our takeaway was very full.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because we have had the journalists, we have had influencers, so people who acted, on social medias in order to spread out knowledge, informations, in order to fight against fake news. So I think all of this was really interesting. If you want to recover the registration, you can go on YouTube at on the channel, on the official channel of Politecnico di Torino, and you will find everything. Okay, so for today, as Marco said before, we have another great day, another great discussion, another great panel with our Partero Vourois in the first line of this room. The main topic of the day is climate and business, the era of sustainable communication. So we're going to talk about how big companies, big industries are communicating themselves in this particular era that we call Anthropocene or so. And we will focus a bit during our seminar on the, this very important topic that we know as greenwashing. That is a risk that I think every company nowadays runs. I don't want to waste your time. I would just to introduce something about me, because I'm a science journalist. I work as a science journalist since more or less 30 years. In the last 20 years, I used to be contributor of National Geographic magazine, and I contributed also to other international magazines. And since the very beginning of the master, I became lecturer. Now I'm the leader lecturer of the module of reporting and communication in the second level master on climate change, adaptation and mitigation solutions of Politecnico di Torino. So I think that's good for me and for you if I make a very quick presentation of the Politecnico. Se vogliamo partire con la prima slide. I'm an expert in climate change adaptation. So I work in this field since a few years, and I built up a platform, let's say a web doc. I don't know if you are friendly with this word. Web doc is web documentary. So I catch this experience, this journalistic experience, this journalistic product I grabbed from the American journalism. Mostly New York Times started with its first web doc in 2012 or 2013. So we are behind the lines, behind the times right now in Italian journalism, I mean. Me, along with some colleagues of mine, some other journalists, video makers, photographers, web designers, creatives, decided to build up a completely new journalistic product that could have been focused, that should have been focused on a specific topic. climate change adaptation, as a way we found out that was really useful to, enhance the hope in the public about the possibility to change the things nowadays. As I said yesterday, the big message of our work to the world public, to the broad public, is we are still in the game. What we said yesterday was that we are experiencing some problems with the public, I mean, as journalists and communicators, because there is, low trust in the future, especially in the newest generation, as the Gen Z and so on. So we have to change their minds. We have to help people, we have to help the public to have trust in the future. And giving hope, I think it's the main way we can do that. Due to our work in adaptation and due to my role in the master, a few years ago, I think a couple of years ago, we covered some interesting projects of Politecnico in terms of adaptation to climate change. Very new and possibly very interesting project that we found out were not really well known by the public, by the medias and by the public. And so we made a web doc totally devoted to these projects of Politecnico of Turin. Today, I just want you to show a little, very, very quick teaser of our work, a couple of minutes. Well, so it's now the time to start with the seminar. So I call Alessandra Bianco and ask her for joining the table. Alessandra Bianco is Corporate Communication Director of Lavazza Group, and she's also Institutional Communication Global Strategist and responsible for media relations and corporate digital and content, and for cultural project, corporate project, and heritage project for Lavazza Group. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good morning to everybody. I'm waiting a little bit my presentation, if it's possible to see on the computer. Perfect. Thank you so much. I'm very happy, it's an honor to be here because all the opportunity to speak about responsibility and the way to communicate responsibility is very important and is crucial nowadays, of course. First of all, I want to introduce the actual situation. We are in a slippery ground. Of course, because sustainability is in the agenda of all the companies, the institutions, the governments, okay. but people knows more and more respect the pastor and want to know the real action that a company perform and develop, not only words. And this is an aspect that very important for people that want to work in the area of communication. And at the beginning, you spoke about greenwashing. Greenwashing is very important because a lot of company didn't develop a concrete strategy of sustainability, but used to speak about it. And this is a high risk, and nowadays is a very high risk because we have heavy fines. And so the situation is different in respect the past. When you can say greenwashing, the risk was the reputation. The risk is that I don't believe because it's not concrete what you say, but you don't risk at legal terms. Today, you risk fines, very heavy fines. And why? Because the ESG is mainstream. Everybody knows, everybody, not everybody, but a lot of people knows about ESG. On the other hand, stakeholder pressure the company because explain the actions linked to the ESG. And some companies, this is something that happened after the greenwashing, is the green ashing. Because the risk to speak about your responsible action is higher because the part of regulations did you a lot of constraint, and you cannot be very sure that you say what you do. In this case, we have the PPWR, the EUDR, the CSDDD, and are part linked to the packaging waste regulation, for example, of the tools or the problem with the deforestation, and of course, due diligence directive. On the other hand, the companies say, okay, I want to speak about sustainability or not. And now we are exactly in this moment. It's very dangerous to do greenwashing, but it's dangerous also to try to do your best to speak about it. And so there is the phenomenon of green ashing. But what about us? Because today I'm here to speak what Lavazza Group did in terms of communication in sustainability. First of all, before to start with our concrete example, I want to say that nowadays sustainability is linked to the business. The company that in truth develop strategy on sustainability develop product sustainable by design, develop project where the sustainability is part, a complete part of the business. And the only way to explain what a company did is the authenticity, the transparency, and the consistency. So I used to say that we can do story doing and not storytelling. Because if you do story doing, you can explain with concrete proof, qualified proof, what you did. It's interesting all the time that someone starting writing something about sustainability. Remember these 5 questions. Is it relevant? Is it compelling? Is it understandable? Of course. Is it true? And is it supported by evidence? For example, a lot of companies nowadays have developed a purpose. What about the Lavazza Group? It's interesting our story on purpose because Lavazza is a global brand with 130 years of history. But the group, the Lavazza group, is younger. In fact, we can say that it's more or less 10, 12 years, because in 2015, Lavazza started to become a global group. In which sense? First of all, decided to change the dimension, and in 10 years, we started from 1 billion to 3 billion. Second, decided to increase the share of market abroad. And now we have 73% abroad. But also started with a campaign of acquisition of a different brand, for example, Carte Noire in France, or Married in Denmark, or Kicking Horse in Canada. And which means that the employees changing for cultures, changing for the expectation and the sharing of values. And in that moment, Lavazza decided to review, to share with all the employees the DNA values that from the beginning was in the core of the company. But of course, it's different to be an Italian company and to be an international group. And we started to working on purpose, and the results is very simple, 6 words: awakening a better world every morning. But you have a claim, an effective claim maybe, where awakening it's a verb of action, and means awakening on consciousness and awakening with a coffee in the morning. But also it's not important in which way you awake yourself, but it's important that all the day, all the time, you do something better for the world. This is not a simple claim, but is a vision of a company in a long term. Is the consistency, is the volunteering to share values and share a strategy, a conscious strategies with all your employees, but with all the other stakeholders in the chain, from the producers to the product. And in which way we did it? In 2015, we did our first sustainability report, and we are absolutely, it's a own decision, because we are not in the stock exchange, and so we decided to do it to be transparent. We decided to sign the 2030 United Nations agenda with the 17 goals, and we decided to select 4 goals, 2 linked to environmental, that is climate change and production, and the others to at a social level, the gender equality and the decent work. Done that, we decided to add 1 new goal, the goal 0, which means sharing the goals. And in these last 12 years, we decided to dedicate the Lavazza calendar to sustainable subject, ethical subject, linked or to environmental tools or social. And this is a way to enlarge the awareness of the 17 goals, because now people knows a little bit more, but 10 years ago, nobody knows what the goals means.
Sensibility was very low,
Yes.
At a low level.
Absolutely. And so it's important to do culture, but sometimes the challenge is to do this in a simple way, in a very effective way. And this is the role of communication, of course. And the pillar, one of the pillar of Lavazza Group action in sustainability is the Lavazza Foundation. But the Lavazza Foundation was founded in 2004, so 20 years ago, when sustainability, it wasn't exactly in the agenda of all the companies. And this is an important positioning because we arrived when everybody spoke about sustainability with a knowledge, with a huge knowledge. In fact, nowadays we have 30 projects in 17 countries, more or less the tropical belt where the coffee is cultivated. And we impact more or less in 100,000 coffee growers. And the aim of the foundation is to increase the productivity and the quality of coffee, of course, promoting the entrepreneurship. Very little entrepreneurship because you have 1, 2, 3 hectares, so very little situations, and improving the quality of living for coffee growers, in particular in terms of women empowerment and in terms of young generations. That the women in power is important because you can imagine that 70% of the people that works in a coffee plantation, the 70% are women, but only the 30% of women managed the plantation. So it's a very long work to do to achieve gender gap. And also for young generations, the average, the age average of the coffee growers is around 50 years old, and we are obliged to convince young people to stay and to continue to work in the coffee plantations and not to come in the big cities. And this is a problem, of course, because it's also a competence from one generation to another that you lost if, oh my God, if you lost, okay. I go I ran, I did only a part of my presentation, but anyway, when I told you about concrete action and way to communicate. For example, we did a project in Cuba and we achieved concrete results like 6 million plants of coffee in Cuba, etc., etc. And we decided to involve journalists from 3-day press trip, where they can speak about our CSR spokesperson, the NGO, the association, the farmers. We achieve a fantastic coverage. But why is fantastic? It's fantastic because the journalists with a very competence in writing describe what you are, your inner volunteering to develop this project. My suggestion is to put together the part of external communication for the media outlets, for example, with your own media. So develop your website, your social, and do brand journalism. But a personal brand journalism, a journalism done by the company, is not powerful as the journalist storytelling. So you can mix both. I want to conclude, if you want my speech, with
we will have time to recover some
topics and maybe some other ideas in the roundtable we will be having at the very end of
Okay.
the day. So
My suggestion is that when you approach the sustainability, you can approach it in general when you do something in communication in an holistic omni-channel approach, which means that you can have a strategy, you can have a long vision, you know exactly where your arrival point, but it's not important if you arrive exactly straight on or you must change your path, but it's important, don't lose the goal. And in this case, we dedicated this year, the 2024, all the year with a lot of projects to increase the awareness of our foundation using all the tools from the podcast to a classical book to the BBC agreement and so on. My suggestion is with transparency, with clearness, using all an omni-channel approach. And I think is my best suggestion. I don't want to lose your time, but if you have 1 minute, I want to show you this video.
I definitely agree with you, Alessandra, if I may. Being transmedia to nowadays, it's absolutely crucial in terms of spreading communication to everyone. So
absolutely, but it's interesting because it's easier the
or
targeting.
maybe let's say multi-approach in terms of communication. That's
a multi-target.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so my idea is that you don't lose nobody. And so you can use all the tools to speak with different tone of voice, but with the same content. So the vision is to
Yesterday we were talking about profiling the public nowadays, because maybe the public has changed a lot in the recent years due to the different triggers that are coming from different parts. I mean, from corporate communication, or maybe from medias and from other sources, also from universities. So the people is changing, their sensibility is changing, their understanding is changing, their perception.
It's important when to have a very coherent line between corporate communication and marketing communication. When you do marketing communication, to have a campaign, something that with an investment that give you that spread your message to a big public. When you do corporate communication, to have a coherence, and you are like an umbrella, and people can see your campaign and come up and say, oh, it's true, it's coherent. This is very, very important, is my suggestion, of course.
Thank you.
Launch the video?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, Alessandra. So the next speaker is Marco Giulivi. Please join us at the table. Marco Giulivi is the head of ESG at Edison SPA, bringing 20 years of experience in sustainability projects within the energy sector. He specializes in climate change issues, particularly those related to carbon markets, climate mitigation, and risk management activities. Since joining Edison in 2008, Marco has held various roles and responsibilities across the group, spanning the entire energy supply chain. As head of ESG, he's responsible for overseeing the Edison Group's ESG positioning and ensuring the consistency of the company's ESG strategy. His role also involves climate adaptation and integrating ESG criteria into investment evaluation, risk management, and sustainable finance activities. That's right. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Thank you for the
So the floor is
presentation.
yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm glad to be here. So thank you to Politecnico of Torino for inviting me and for giving me the opportunity of sharing our experience and perspective on climate change communication and on all these issues. Okay, I'll try. Okay. First of all, few charts of background on energy and climate. I think it's quite important on our sector also to have an overview of that. First of all, seeing the data on global energy consumption, some people sometimes confuse energy consumption with electricity. Obviously, not engineers and scientists like you, but the people in general confusing that. And I think it's quite important to remember that nowadays, global energy consumption is still strongly dependent from fossil fuel, especially from coal and oil. And also focusing on electricity, obviously the renewables and other low carbon technology are growing, but we are still strongly dependent from fossil fuel, especially from coal, that is nowadays also the first source for the electricity production, especially in China, in India, and in the US. So it's quite important to remember that. This is why, as energy providers, we talk a lot about the so-called energy trilemma, because at the same time, we have to guarantee the energy security, so the security of supply, also the affordability and the access to energy. This is quite important, especially in the developing countries, but not only. Also in Italy, all the issues related to the affordability are quite important, especially in times of energy and economic crisis. And also the environmental and sustainability issue that also that obviously are at the heart of our activities. In fact, this chart also reminds us that the climate issue is mainly an energy issue, because 75–80% of the greenhouse gas emission are strongly related to the energy consumption. And we have some levers, some that we can use in the short and medium term, and others that are more related to the long term. So in the short term, mainly energy efficiency. So we have to work a lot on using well the energy that we produce, electrification as much as possible, especially if combined with renewables, and also to reduce in the medium long term and decarbonize also the sector that are called hard to abate. We have to invest in research and development on new technologies that currently are not feasible, like hydrogen, green hydrogen, biomethane, sometimes carbon capture and sequestration, direct air carbon, and so on. And also nuclear could be an option for decarbonization in the long term. Now I'll focus on our communication, and I remind our sustainability journey. Our company starts a communication on sustainability and the issue in 2004, so a long time ago. We are pioneers of the environmental reporting, because it's a company need. We want to communicate environmental and social issue, how we conduct the business. It's important for us. Also, a crucial milestone was the new strategy that we adopted in 2020 when we decided to complete the complete disposal of our exploration and production activities in the oil and gas, in order to reconvert and invest on more on renewables and energy efficiency. So we constitute also new companies like Edison Renewables and Edison Next, that is completely focused on energy efficiency and providing decarbonization products and services to large customers and public administration. That's also quite close to Politecnico here. So also we establish a foundation, a social impact foundation that is focused on also on increasing the social impact and is developing projects on the communities here, especially here in Italy. And I totally agree also with the other panelists on the importance to be clear, to be transparent. It's something that is very important also for us in order to avoid greenwashing and give a transparent communication on what we do. Obviously, the main document it's our non-financial disclosure, because you can see in the sustainability report a lot of information, especially on targets, on KPIs, on also the progress that is very important and is at the heart of the ESG criteria. So it's important, the target, so to have a commitment, but also it's important to communicate the progress, if you are doing well or not and why. This is very important. And in our climate action section of the non-financial of the sustainability reporting, you can find a lot of information on that. Also, is the last non-financial disclosure, because we are now subject to the CCRD. So our sustainability reporting will be totally integrated on our financial reporting starting from this year. And also the other document that I want to talk about is our industrial plan. That is related to our birthday, because we were founded 141 years ago. We are the ancient energy company in Europe. And why I want to show this document, because you can find the investment on the energy transition, the evolution of our financial and also our carbon trajectory and climate plan and transition plan. Why it is important? Because if you want to really understand if a company target is feasible, credible, and transparent, you have to also evaluate if the company really invests on that, if they invest on people, if there are the financial resources, but also the human resources to develop this plan. So my suggestion, if you want to really understand if a climate target, an ESG target in general is feasible, is credible, you have also to see the financial document if you want to really understand it. Another part related to the communication is our What If campaign. We recently do this campaign to encourage people to take a stand on various issues, because we have seen before the energy transition, it's quite complicated, it's not easy. There is not a silver bullet, a unique solution when you can solve all the problems related to the decarbonization issue. And so with this national campaign, we want to encourage people on talk about it, and also and this based essentially on a series of provocative questions, essentially related to, if you want to really the energy transition, sometimes you have also to understand and accept also new infrastructure, especially on renewables. That is quite crucial, especially in our country. We also have other local and social communication. we have no time. We also we focus on our internal communication. We obviously do a lot of communication as sustainability department on that, with newsletter, with report, with our intranet, promoting our sustainable office, with events. And also I want to focus on a climate game that is named Climate Fresk. That is quite common on our company. It's based essentially on the IPCC report, and is a game that wants to communicate in an effective way all the main topic of the IPCC report. And also a pillar of adaptation. So because it's quite important also that to remind that starting from 2021, we have climate resilience plan by 2050. So the company is also ready to have an idea to evaluate the climate change risk, and this is a very useful tool. Obviously, it's based on IPCC scenarios, and it's important also to plan and prevent and communicate all the activities that we do also on our adaptation measures on all our electricity generation assets. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's maybe you also touched something that we have discussed yesterday,
Absolutely.
even about the relation, about the landscape. Okay, so this is also another aspect connected to the how it's important to do a collaborative approaches for how to say changing something, because it's important to have the public engagement. So please, Mark.
Yes. So the last speaker of the first session before the coffee break is Maria Giovanna Gaglione. So please join us here. Maria Giovanna Gaglione. Cosa? Ah, sì. Maria Giovanna Gaglione. She's from Enea agency. She joined Enea since 2011, working on national and EU-funded projects in the field of energy efficiency and renewables. She's working for Laboratory of Communication Tools for Energy Efficiency, where a wide range of tools for awareness raising and training are designed, developed, and implemented in order to reach community engagement regarding energy consumption and aim to empower households, families, companies, public sector for a conscious use of energy. She's also involved in the Italian National Training and Information Campaign Italia in Classe A for the energy efficiency awareness, I think. Yeah. Providing her expertise in elaboration of motivation campaigns to broaden citizens' knowledge in energy efficiency and boost behavior change, with a focus on studying factors of individuals' engagement in the energy topics and energy sector, I mean. Okay, so the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Professor Piras and Dr. Merola. And okay. As I was introduced, I work for the Enea Department of Energy Efficiency. This department in Enea contributes to the transposition of European energy directives and to the implementation of energy efficiency policies and measures. And we are part of the Enea, the National Agency on New Technologies, but we act also as the National Agency for Energy Efficiency, according to the transposition of the European Directive on Energy Efficiency. And before going too deep of my presentation, just clarify, we talk about energy efficiency as a strategy for climate mitigation. We talked earlier with the climate adaptation, with the presentation of Dr. Merola, but energy efficiency can be considered as a powerful strategy for climate mitigation, and we see how. Of course, the term, as you might know, refers to less energy to produce the same amount of service or output, according to the definition. But the foundation of energy efficiency is, of course, technology in every part of the energy conversion chain. And so main benefits can be reduced carbon emissions. We produce less energy, so we get less emissions, improved competitiveness of businesses, and the creation of new skills and new jobs. We will talk later about that. And the reduced demand for water and reduced energy costs for consumers. So only 5 kind of these benefits. And to clarify, we talk energy efficiency, but we also talk about energy conservation. I'd like to described the difference between the two, because energy efficiency, as I said, using technology that requires less energy to perform the same task, and it's related with an efficient behavior. For example, installing lamps, LED lamps in the home lighting. While we speak about energy conservation, it's to adopt new habits, new behaviors in order to save energy. And in this case, we talk about curtailment behavior. So the two concepts are related, but they're quite different. We talk about energy efficiency in the National Energy and Climate Plan, and the last Italian version of this plan was released last June 2024, and it revealed a very realistic approach and a realistic roadmap to achieve the sustainable goals. Even in increasing energy efficiency, but also in energy savings and promoting clean energy through renewable sources. I'm talking about this plan because to get energy saving targets, awareness and information programs, as the one I will talk about in this presentation, should obtain, according for this plan, energy savings at last for 0.02 megatui per year. So when awareness campaigns are integrated in a strategic plan, they really can contribute to get sustainable goals for climate mitigation. The program is called National Information and Training Program for Energy Efficiency, and it's a very long-term program. It started in 2016, and the timeline is until 2030. It's a quite a consistent budget because for all these years, and it's promoted by the Ministry of Environment and Energy Security, and it's carried out by ENEA, the National Agency for Energy Efficiency. And it is an effective awareness involvement program for different target groups, of course, aiming at promoting energy efficiency and energy savings results. I will show you about that. One of the principles, like this toolkit released by the International Energy Agency, when talking about energy efficiency, is to encourage households, for example, and businesses to undertake behavioral changes in order to achieve energy savings through communication, targeted communication. I heard that yesterday in the seminar, the first day of the seminar, you talked about the communication. And we see also for the International Energy Agency how this communication integrated with the behavioral insights is important to get concrete goals for sustainability. And in fact, we use in our program behavioral insights in order to get this, to design the policy, the energy policy in a very effective way. The features of this campaign, it's called the Italy in Class A. It refers to the energy level, of course. We have also a target segmentation. So we use different languages and different styles according to the target groups we are talking about or talking to. And we also have an impact measurement for each initiative and cross-checking of the results. And we have a continuous dialogue with the stakeholders that are involved in the supply chain. And if we could underline the key factors of these campaigns, they are a multidisciplinary approach with different skills, and also a lot of actions designed with the behavioral insight. Not only in the designing phase of the policy, but also in the checking that these changes happen in the long term and not in a short term. The structure has a cross-media campaign with for broad audience, and then some action on information and training, a multimedia platform where all the contents are present, so you can download and consult all the initiatives, and involvement of public sector. And also we have targeted initiatives and projects in order to engage local communities. So in this strategy, at the beginning of the program, we tried to target different groups, for example, citizens under 25. And for them, we try to deliver simple messages using new channels like social media, but also citizens over 65, which are considered for us a very important part, because they are leader of their networks and they can influence with their decisions the choices for energy. But with the different strategy for them, for example, radio, seminars or workshops work better. And also, of course, the working population, which is crucial for our campaign, with direct messages. And also we drafted some communication strategy for vulnerable citizens. Even those people who, for example, have some barriers with the language, so we use a lot of infographics. And so we try to cover all targets of the population. In fact, just sum up, the aims of the program of information and training on energy efficiency is to support large companies and SMEs, for example, to perform energy diagnostic and use all the incentives that are available in order to installing different technologies. And also to promote a program for the public sector, because public sector is often a leader, not for the other sectors. And for example, during the energy crisis 2 years ago, we prepared a lot of leaflets for the employee of energy sector of the public administration in order to get energy savings according to the National Containment Plan for consuming less gas. And also we have a lot of actions towards students from primary schools to university, of course, so we cover a wide range, and new forms of financing to improve energy efficiency of buildings, not only the super bonus, but they have a lot other incentives, and like, for example, the impact investment, which is not very common in Italy, but I think it will grow in the future. And as I said before earlier, we have broad audience campaigns. For example, this campaign is called Un Posso alla Volta, one can at time. In Italian, Un Posso alla Volta, as the word can as an assonance with the word step. So it means one step at a time towards climate goals and energy saving targets. And this campaign has recommendation on 10 tips, even for curtailment behavior than for efficiency behavior. And it was quite successful. As you can see, for the metrics of this campaign, it reached nearly 13 million of people through different channels, radio, streaming, out of home, for example. And these people on our website could download these tips, and so it was quite useful. We also carried out, this is another broad campaign, which is still running on Sundays on a national broadcast. It's called Gigawatt, Everything, Energy is Everything. And it tries to show all the technologies to the broad audience. It's a quite interesting program. I suggest you to follow or to stream from the broadcast, and with the aim of teaching literacy, energy literacy to the broad public. And we carried out also a brand lift study on the key messages of the campaign. Just to find out as a result of this brand lift study that the creativity produced worked very well with a clear call to action. In fact, if you look at the last question, what inspires the message of our campaign, and 35% or nearly 40% is the need for change. And another important is the responsibility, because for getting energy transition real, the individual responsibility is very important. So we were quite happy that this message was reached the people. But actually, I will not get into details for the lack of time, but yes, 2 minutes. But to monitoring activities and for energy savings are challenging because there is not shared methodology. This, for who is a professional in communication, it's quite important to overcome this challenge. This is the platform where you can see all these webinar, tutorials, storytelling, podcast, and you can have a look if you want. It's quite interesting. And for you that are the master students, we also do some initiatives, because with the energy efficiency, there are a lot of new job opportunities, a lot of new occupancies, and there's a very big shortage of these professionals. So we're trying to attract young people, women, and the new professional to these new opportunities through this campaign. Of course, this is the short measures that I already, and these are other initiatives that include behavior change insights. For example, Casa in Salute is an action to which is for elderly people who want to retrofit their homes, and to find the link between the indoor comfort and energy savings. So in order to get near how accessibility is not only private, but also it helps in getting some indoor comfort, for example. Just to conclude that, of course, I spoke about broad campaigns, but to achieve citizen engagement in energy transition during these 6 years of this training. We are already designing the next 3 years of this program. That this campaign also normally use general and tailored communication with the social media, with the training and information activities, but this information is not sufficient because behavior, for example, is not only an individual process, but it's a social process. So in the future, we're trying to develop a lot of initiatives that involve communities, local communities, because people, it's not sufficient to say, okay, I get this information and I act in a sustainable way. It's a long process. And so we are sure that a good engaging communication strategy with the direct messages seems to work well in the long term, because we want to achieve a sustainable culture, not in the short term with, okay, I get energy saving this year, but with the behavioral change in the long term. And this is a very challenge activity to perform. So the conclusions and this information training program on energy efficiency shows that the combination of awareness raising actions, financial incentives, and the promotion of sustainable technologies altogether can contribute to the to get the climate goals. So for any other question, I will talk later.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. I know you have to leave possibly right after the coffee break, you said, or you can stay.
Midday.
Okay. But I don't know if you will be at our roundtable, final
Yes.
roundtable. Okay, that's great, because I have a question for you, but maybe I will make it to you later on. Okay. Thank you very much,
Thank
Maria
you.
Giovanna. So now we have a 15 minutes coffee
Yeah,
break.
just a comment
Okay,
that
yeah.
if I can, just a comment that is very curious. That's nowadays. So in the US, we have one people who lead the Department of Energy that is a denial. That's is quite curious. So this is a very so. Very curious. So before to start and to invite you to participate in the coffee break, please give me just 1 second for say a special thanks to Edison and Enea, because they are a new corporate and scientific partner in the master. Then I thanks a lot for also to trust in the master, that also of course Lavazza is maybe an historical partner that is starting with us at the beginning of this experience. But so in this edition we had the opportunity to join our journey with Edison and Enea. Then I am very happy and very honored with this kind of cooperation. Then thanks a lot, and also for to participate, to be here today. Then we close the first part.
15 minutes break.
Yeah, okay. To speaker, and also in this part we talk about the aspect related to the communication and corporate, especially for greenwashing. And so then I leave the floor to Marco for introduce the next speaker, please.
Yeah. We are going into hard topics. Let's say we're going to talk about greenwashing and all related issues. So the first speaker of this second part of the seminar is Laura Busacchi. Please join us, Laura. She's a legal counsel in Confindustria Ceramica, which is the Italian Ceramic Producers Association. She's graduate in law with honors, and she started her career in a law firm and admitted to the Italian bar. Since December 2021, she handles the internal legal matters for the association and support members for the legal compliance and legislative monitor. Given the importance of sustainability, she does consultancy activity and organize specific training on this matter, in particular in relation to corporate sustainability reporting directive and greenwashing. So if you're ready, the floor is yours, Laura.
So good morning, everyone. I am Laura Busacchi, Confindustria Ceramica Legal Counsel, and thanks to the organizer for this opportunity. I'm really glad to be here to talk with you about greenwashing from a legal perspective and from the point of view of ceramic tile industry. So first of all, I want to give you an idea of the association I work for, Confindustria Ceramica, that represent the Italian ceramic producer from 5 different sectors: ceramic tiles, sanitary ware, tableware, refractory, and bricks, with more than 26,000 direct employees and a general turnover of more than 7.5 million euro. The data and info I will show you later refers to ceramic tiles, that is the most relevant sector we represent. We are an export-oriented sector. Indeed, more of our 85% of our turnover is made outside the Italian border. Speaking about value, we represent almost the 30% of export worldwide. So this means that our product is an high value added product known all over the world for its unique characteristics and performance. Innovation and sustainability have been achieved through years, thanks to massive investment, close to an annual average of 6.2% of our turnover. Now to the topic at hand, I would like to focus on the number related to sustainability in the ceramic tiles sector. I will give you just few numbers, but for more detailed information, my technical colleagues and I will be glad to assist you. We have invested in abatement equipment that eliminate 99% of the dust emission of the production process. The energy consumption of 74% of our plants is lower than the best available techniques in Europe. We have decreased by almost 60% the CO2 emission per square meter compared to the 90s. 47% of our electricity needs comes from renewable energy. 97% of our sites fully reuse wastewater in the production process, and all the production and purification waste is reused. How we know this number? Well, since the 90s, Confindustria Ceramica collects the official data given by our members to the Public Authority of Environment, and therefore we are able to show the trends and evolution of the pollutants of our industry. How we support our members in communicate in a proper way their environmental performance. Since 2016, we have a sectoral-wide environmental product declaration, also known as EPD, that transparently summarizes the sustainability performance of the Italian sector as a whole. At the same time, our members can either use a sectoral-wide EPD or develop their own specific EPD tool related to their business, using a specific tool that we developed with a technical partner that is Sfera. Using EPD, each company may, on a voluntary basis, declare with transparency and with a scientific approach their performance related to sustainability. So the goal of Confindustria Ceramica and of our members is to communicate in the most transparent and correct way data related to sustainability in order to allow consumers to make informed decisions about the material they intended to use or to buy. Okay, so somehow we can say that Our sector has anticipated to meet market needs on clear and certain information regarding sustainability. Indeed, in recent years, environmental labels and green claims have become more and more used as marketing tools by companies to persuade consumers in their economic choices. However, in many cases, such claims or label may be intentionally or not be vague, generic, and not scientifically based. So, in other words, we can say that these labels and claims are unreliable from a sustainability point of view. This is the reason why EU has been working on different directions to contrast the unfair commercial practice, also known as greenwashing, that is a marketing strategy used to mislead consumer on the environmental impact of the product or service promoted. Greenwashing harms the correct functioning of the internal market because it allows products and businesses to gain an unfair competitive advantage over competitors by providing misleading, unfounded information by marketing product or service as environmental friendly, while in fact environmental standards have not been met. For the matter of the today's discussion, we will focus on the Empowering Consumer for Green Transition Directive that introduces specific rules to ban unfair commercial practice related to greenwashing. But to provide you a more complete picture of the EU legislation relevant to this topic, just be informed that there is another file that is still open related to the protection of consumers and the promotion of sustainable consumption. I am referring to the proposal of green claim, the proposal of the directive so-called green claim, that is complementary to the one that we will talk about later, and that will aim to introduce a verification system for companies for environmental claim. So at first sight, they may appear similar in their content, but indeed they have a core that is quite different, because while the EU directive on empowering consumers will tell companies how to communicate or not to communicate green assertion, the Green Claim Directive will indicate how to substantiate these green claims and labels. Okay. So let's focus on the main content of the Empowering Consumers for the Green Transition that introduces specific rules in consumer law to contrast unfair commercial practice that mislead consumers and prevent them from making sustainable consumption choices. Member states shall have to transpose into their national legislation the measures necessary to comply with the disposition of the directive within 2026. So we have to wait for the national adoption. In any case, we can have a look at the main content. So this directive has amended the Unfair Commercial Practice Directive that defines unfair business to consumers commercial practices. In particular, it has added new types of unfair practices that are banned at any time, so that they have been inserted into a so-called blacklist. So, for example, it has introduced the ban of generic claims, such as environmental friendly, eco-friendly, green, or similar statement, when recognized excellent environmental performance cannot be demonstrated. So in other words, when it is not possible to prove that the claim is compliant with the technical regulation relevant for the claim. So for example, the claim climate-friendly packaging would be a generic claim that will fall within this ban, while claiming, for example, that 100% of the energy used to produce this packaging comes from renewable sources is specific, and so we can say that will be allowed. At the same time, it is being introduced another ban of making environmental claim about the entire product when indeed the claim concern only specific aspect of the product. So the ban would apply, for example, when the product is marketed as made with recycled material, giving the impression that the entire product is done with recycled material, when indeed only the packaging is done with recycled material. Another ban that will fall under the list of this blacklist is the ban related to carbon neutral claims based on offsettings of greenhouse gas emissions. Example of such claims are climate neutral or climate net zero. Such claim should only be allowed when they are based on the actual life cycle impact of the product in question, and not based on the offsettings of greenhouse gas emission outside the product's value chain. Such prohibition should not prevent companies from advertising their investment in environmental initiative, as long as they provide such information in a correct way that is not misleading to consumers. Okay. At the same time, the directive added also new example of commercial practice that shall be regarded as misleading if in a case-by-case verification they appear to cause or are likely to cause the average consumer to take a transactional decision that they would have not taken otherwise. So, for example, it may be considered unfair making an environmental claim related to future environmental performance without giving to the market clear, objective commitments. So, for example, an example of this claim could be stating that a company is committed in the abatement of emissions in future years without giving or having a clear timeline and specific goals. As well, it may be unfair advertising benefits to consumers that are not relevant or not directly related to any feature that is the core essence of the product. So, for example, stating that a ceramic tile is done without plastic is an information that it is not relevant because plastic is not part of the product. So it is important to communicate information that are strictly related to the product. Okay. So while waiting for the, So while you're waiting for the transposition of this disposition within our national legislation, I can give you 2 general tips for the avoidance of greenwashing. As said before, also by the other speakers, first of all, in all your green communication, it is important to avoid vague and generic language in order to be reliable and to empower the trust in consumers about your product and your sustainability performance. And at the same time, I believe that the key for a correct sustainability communication is to measure the data and the information that you will have to report. So start from collecting the data to communicate in a correct and proper way your sustainable performances. So this is what the Italian ceramic industry has been doing through years. For a question of time, I can suggest you only to, if you are interested, to visit our website or to contact us or to talk with us later. So thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, we will be having the roundtable at the end of the speech, so possibly we are going over these topics again. Okay, so now it's the time to have a different point of view on this topic, on this crucial topic of greenwashing. So I asked to a colleague of mine, Stefano Valentino, who is in Brussels right now. So we are linked with him. Elisa? Yeah, maybe he's online. Okay. Ciao, Stefano.
Hello,
Can you
hi
hear
to
me?
everyone. Yes, I can
Okay,
hear you.
great.
Hi.
Okay, great. So just a little introduction. Stefano Valentino, a little presentation. Stefano Valentino is an Italian freelance journalist, investigations consultant at voxeurope.eu. He's a specialist in EU affairs and globalization, mostly in areas related to the environment. His mission is exposing the connections between ecological sustainability, corporate lobbying, and resource conflicts. He has also extensively covered climate research. He took part in 2 oceanographic expeditions to Antarctica aboard research vessels of the Italian Antarctic Program. He has a track record of international investigative projects funded by grant-making organizations. His work has appeared in leading media outlets in different countries, such as The Guardian, the Christian Science Monitor, EU Observer, La Repubblica, Libération, Der Spiegel, El Diario, NRC Handelsblatt, and he's also the founder of the Google-funded collaborative journalism platform Mobile Reporter. So now, Stefano, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you, Marco, for this presentation. I share my screen. I hope that you're going to see my presentation. Can you see it? Yes?
Yes, yeah, great.
Okay, so as Marco said, I'm a journalist and I do investigation which precisely aim to expose greenwashing. So I'm the one who's following and going after companies which try to present themselves much greener and sustainable than they actually are. So I collaborate with colleagues across Europe and around the world. And I know that despite companies think that sometimes they can hide themselves between their marketing communication, I can confirm that it's very easy for journalists to actually expose and to show that corporate claims sometimes they're not as accurate as they seem. So today I want to show you how journalists may actually go after companies, maybe also after some of the companies who are speaking today. And all my presentation is centered on the legislation of the European Union and the methods and tools used by journalists. So the EU, as a global coverage, is a major player in terms of business. It's the largest market in the world. It has adopted the most important and the progressive legal framework on sustainability and greenwashing. So the EU legislation basically affects all operations, both of the EU companies, but also of their subsidiaries and suppliers around the world. So all companies in Europe, they have suppliers when they trade with other countries. They have subsidiaries in third countries overseas, which have operations on the ground, and also they get funding by financial institutions. So basically, all the EU companies, they are somehow connected with businesses which are happening around the world. And as you know, lots of greenwashing happens because companies or financial institutions which are linked to operations around the world, they try sometimes to hide the environmental and social impact. I mean, the harmful social environmental impact that their subsidiaries, suppliers, or investing companies they have in the global south mainly, which is the largest provider of raw material and products to the European market. So this slide shows a different business connection which may exist between companies in the EU and companies around the world, including financial institutions which sometimes provide finance to both EU companies and their subsidiaries and suppliers in other countries. Now, the legislation is very complex. The previous speaker mentioned the directive on green claims, which is going to be enforced soon. But the framework of the EU includes many other pieces of legislation, which are very important for companies to comply with, to make sure that they don't fall in the trap of greenwashing and expose themselves to the investigation of journalists like me, who actually are always looking for loopholes and the missing points and elements in the corporate communication, which actually can pave the way for us to make an investigation. So I just go very fast through the different pieces of legislation. There is a EU taxonomy which defines which are the economic activities considered sustainable. You have a couple of very important laws which have been adopted this year: the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive and the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. There are two combined pieces of law which basically requires company to make sure that their supply chain is clean. There are suppliers and subsidiaries that don't affect in a negative way human rights, environment around the world, and they need to actually disclose the potential environmental social impacts. If they fail to do so, they expose themselves to possible sanction of the EU, but also to journalists, again, like me, who try to find any kind of missing element to try to find new greenwashing cases. Then you have a specific piece of law which addresses sustainable finance, which requires banks and financial institutions to make sure that they also disclose the environmental social impact of the companies in which they pour investors' money. And then you have the new bonds, but this is a very specific legislation on finance, which is a little bit too technical. Then you have other pieces of legislation which address different sectors, like deforestation, timber, renewable energies, conflict minerals, and illegal fishing. So all these sector laws, they cover different sectors which are basically covering specific activities of companies around the world. Now, the way companies they can actually expose themselves to being tracked down by journalists is through different trade relations they may have with subsidiaries and suppliers, which may actually end up doing wrongdoings, and that should be checked by the mother company. So the first trade relation is ownership. So many companies in Europe, they own subsidiaries in third countries. So they need to report about the impact of those subsidiaries in other countries. If they don't do that, then it may happen the journalists find some wrongdoings which was caused and committed by subsidiaries in other countries, and then the EU companies which is owning those subsidiaries may find himself involved in this greenwashing case. Then there is finance ties. So banks or financial institutions in the EU could actually lend money to companies which are causing harm in other countries around the world. So again, financial institutions, they should be aware about how they're going to put, where they're going to invest their money to make sure that they are not supporting financially harming businesses. And then there is also the relation of trade. So as I said, the European market is supplied by companies from other countries, mostly this global south, with raw materials and products. So all those products and raw materials, they may actually contribute to violation of human rights, deforestation, and other environmental harms that again should be reported by companies which import such commodities to make sure that again journalists, they don't go after them. Now I can show you a different investigation that I've done, tracking down different companies in terms of ownership and finance. We investigate also financial institutions which basically pour investors' money into companies which contribute to climate, man-made climate crisis. Although those financial institutions, they claim that their investment funds, they are green and sustainable, but again, when you look at the portfolio of the investment funds, you see companies operating in a gas, coal, and oil sector, which are not really climate friendly. We make investigation on banks which are subsidizing palm oil producers in Indonesia, contribute to deforestation. Also trade of soy from Argentina, which again is contributing to deforestation. Soy ends up in a supply chain of many food products. Europe, again, an investigation on illegal fishing coming up in Europe, and then also gold from from Central Asia. Now, there is a methodology that journalists use to investigate companies. We try to find out, first of all, which are the trade relationship between EU companies and the companies around the world, whether there is trade, finance, or ownership. Then we check how companies, they are reporting in a fair, transparent way information about their harmful environmental and social impact around the world through the new requirements set by the EU. As I said, the due diligence and sustainable reporting directives, and which are requiring companies to disclose their impact. And then we compare what the information that is present on the website of companies in terms of green claims, their sustainability reports with requirements of disclosure by the EU legislation, the independent sustainability assessment by third parties, and also online databases, which are a very rich mine, information mine for journalists. Sometimes online databases, they include impacts of companies which are not really reported by companies in their marketing communication and in their EU required reports. And then, of course, the last result for the journalist is going to the ground to see what the company subsidiaries or suppliers are doing on the ground to check if anything wrong is happening. Now, those are all the databases the journalists are using to track companies. There are many in terms of greenwashing detection, due diligence and reporting, environmental social responsibility, supply chain, ownership, finance. So basically, those are all the databases journalists are using to see what companies are doing and if the companies are really transparent and fair in their communication about their impact. So if you know those databases, sometimes if you are a company, even present here today, or you're attending or presenting, you can find sometimes your company impacts in these databases. You may not have even been aware that you are present in this database, but it's very important to make sure that your marketing communication, they don't really contradict the data which is in these databases to make sure that journalists are not going to find some lack of consistency and unfairness and lack of transparency in your communication. So these are some examples of investigation that I've done about green funds investing in coal in South Africa. Coal is not really green. And so I think I can finish the presentation here so Marco can ask some questions and I can clarify some of the technical complex concepts that I explained now.
So thank you, Stefano. Also to be so quick, but possibly in our roundtable we can cover other topics, or maybe we can resume some of your informations and we can discuss about that. Okay, so now it's time to have our roundtable. I think 20 minutes more or less before the very last part of our seminar, which is very thrilling, I can say, because we are going to make an official announcement today. So it's very important for Turin itself, possibly, and also for Politecnico, for all of us, we hope. But before that, let's start with our roundtable. As I did yesterday, first I want to know if there any question from the audience? Possibly, I don't know if from the students of the master or from anyone. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
It's about the greenwashing. I studied a little last night, so I have
Please use the microphone, otherwise we cannot. No, yeah.
There is,
Yeah.
there is. I'm sorry, I have to find the notes because it's
So who's gonna respond to your question?
yeah. The question is, I want to find out the deep reasons behind the greenwashing. As so we could understand that the initiative for the corporate giants, because I searched a list that for in 2023 and 2024, there are still the greenwashing cases. For example, IKEA or Starbucks or Walmart. And the most famous should be Volkswagen in 2015. And Volkswagen lost a huge blood of around 31 billion euro. And this is a previous case, right? So, but after 2015, up to now, it's around 10 years, there's still corporate giants. They are still doing greenwashing, not small companies. They are corporate giants. So they know clearly their visions, their missions. They should know their corporate responsibilities in the society, but they are still doing greenwashing. But as I understand that, the initiative motivation should be to drive the sales. I understand that. But as many of the guests talked about just now, that there are heavy fines, there are expensive penalties, and there are also the legislative perspectives to follow and so on. So in this case, the question is, why do these corporate giants, why do they still do it? This is a question for all the guests. I don't know who can answer this question because it's very clear. It's like in our daily life, there's the law for everything, for every aspect, but there's still people break the law. It's like people very rich, but they still want to steal something. The corporate giants, they are very rich, right, for financial situation, but they still, as my understanding, is like they still want to steal something. It's like sustainability becomes a kind of trend. So the corporate giants, they want to follow this trend. And then they do a kind of marketing. It's good for their brand reputation, but there's a high risk. If you are revealed by the legislative bodies, the regulatory bodies, or the consumers, you lost your reputation. But this type of reputation is that the corporate giants have accumulated for lots of years, many years. And is worthy of doing that? Obviously, no. But the corporate giants are still doing it. But these cases are from 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
So it's not something
Right.
happened lots of years ago. So in that case, what are the deep reasons for the
Okay.
corporate giants doing so. I
Yeah,
want
we
to
got it,
invite,
we got
I
it.
want to invite
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Marco
Yeah.
Merola
Yes.
to answer this question, or any of the other guests
I
who can
think
answer this
we
question.
could. Yeah, I understand. I understood. Yeah, I think we could have the both perspectives and both visions. Maybe Stefano and I don't know, some of you as well from the company side. I mean, who wanna? Okay, okay. So Stefano first, and after Marco Giulivi from Edison, please.
So, as I understand, the question is why basically public authorities are allowing big corporations to do greenwashing, and the lack of set of sanctions deterring corporations from doing so. That's correct? Hello?
What? I think he's searching one of the slides he showed before, or not?
No, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
No, I just want to clarify the question. So the question is why the system is still allowing a big corporation to do greenwashing without a clear set of sanctions.
Hmm?
Correct?
But also, what is the deep reason for why these giants still make this kind of, greenwashing on their own businesses if the reputation is put at risk? Is that right?
Well, I think that the issue of reputation is a little bit more complicated. The reputation of companies is not only based on what is filtering through in the public space, through media outlets, through NGOs reports, but also something which is related to the assessment of those companies made by so-called independent external third-party rating agencies, which use a quite obscure system of rating scores in terms of ESG, environmental, social, governance commitments. It's very hard to understand which kind of data these assessment agencies they're using, and sometimes you may find the companies which obviously they don't do anything good for the environment, like oil, gas, coal mining companies, which have quite good ratings, good scores, and the investors they try to rely on these ESG scores provided by third parties agencies to decide whether to invest in those companies or not. And when they are asked why they invest in those companies, they always say, "Yeah, but those companies they have very good ESG scores." So unfortunately, the whole systems, which is based on voluntary principles created by the industry, is such that it's very hard to understand where the greenwashing lies. What greenwashing is for an unsavvy readers or for public opinion is not necessarily greenwashing from the industry and the investors' perspective. And unfortunately, what makes our economy move is not the public opinion, but is the choice of the few financial institutions which are behind companies and lending and funding companies which do greenwashing. So the debate is much more complicated than actually what someone may think.
Okay, so let's have also the company's perspective. So please, Marco Giulivi.
Yeah, I'm not a representative of big corporations that are doing greenwashing, so it's not easy for me to reply on that. But essentially, what we are seeing, and also the European regulatory framework is doing exactly in this direction to prevent and to give a transparent communication to the consumers. Obviously, we are only at the beginning. So, for example, the CSRD starts this fiscal year for listed companies and big companies, and after it will enter into force in the next year. So the basis of the new EU regulatory framework is to provide information, KPIs, and data that are not voluntary, so they are not defined directly by the companies, but they are defined by the law, by the European law. So you have unique metrics with methodologies and calculation also to enforce, to promote the possibility to the confrontability, the transparency, and so on. It is very important. At the European level, they have done it. They did it obviously because they have seen in the past that the green claim especially, but not only, the claim of some companies generally, they are very vague, they are not transparent, and this is why we have all these European, so huge legislation on reporting, on green claim, on greenwashing, on also the ESG funds and naming and so on, the European taxonomy that clearly defines exactly what an environmental activity is, and so on, because in this way, using the law, the European law, you can promote and guarantee the transparency. Obviously, it's not a perfect system, also considering that the EU is not the world, so international companies are not all subject to the European regulation, but for sure, European is doing a lot to prevent and to promote a clear, transparent communication on this issue.
Thank you. I myself, okay, I would have a question for you, but please,
yeah.
please respond.
I just want to add another point of view without having the ambitions to have the correct reply to your question, but probably these behaviors are still going on also because from an opportunity and risk perspective, company maybe decide to try to go through a path that it is probably not the safest one, but they have not the correct awareness of the risk that they are facing. So maybe this case show the importance of the integration between departments in a company. And it is really important that, for example, the legal department, the communication department, the technical department have to be on the same way and have to be the same awareness of what is the legislation, but also what is the risk related to their reputation if they breach the disposition.
Yes, I have a question for you, Laura. A judgment is expected by the end of January on the case of a quite famous Italian bottled company. I don't know if you know that case. Okay, but it's possibly will be the first judgment on greenwashing we have in Italy. No, I think you can confirm this. So what's going to change after that judgment in terms of jurisprudence, in terms of next judgment that could come in the future?
So to provide a complete picture, since now we have the decision of public authority, AGCM, that it is the authority in Italy that has to guarantee the proper functioning of the market. So we have decision related to administrative decision of this authority, but I think that, yes, starting from 2026, when the disposition of the Empowering Directive will be adopted, I think that the point is to have more awareness on the operator in the market about their green communication. So it is just to emphasize something that is still now present, but that will be empowered by administrative fines related to turnover. And so, yes.
Yeah, but my question was, yeah, I know about, of course, the time limit of 2020, the deadline of 2026 for adopting the directive, officially adopting the directive. But my question was, do you think something is going to change also before 2026 due to these judgments that are?
Yeah, I think so. And what we are doing as association is to make aware our members on the legislation disposition that will become relevant, but it is necessary to start right now or better.
So you must take in consideration what's going on with judgments that are gonna released in the next future.
Yes.
Okay, right. So, yeah.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I have a question for Lavazza. I don't know if it's still here.
Sorry, we cannot hear you. Can you put?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question for Lavazza. I don't know if it's still here.
No, she's gone.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
Okay, but can I do it or not?
I don't know. It depends on the question.
Yeah, because
if we can answer.
No, because it's a large, I don't know, perspective. I mean, like Lavazza spoke about the transparency and the green policy in the world. But I found out, for example, a report of Greenpeace of 31st of July that it's one of the main responsible of deforestation in Sweden for packaging. So where is the transparency in this way, in which company we can trust for this reason? I don't know.
Yeah, I got the question. So I think it's not completely correct to respond to this if the person is
Okay.
not present right now. I know that Stefano possibly did something on that. I'm right, Stefano? Did you make some reports on such topic? Could you possibly answer it from a journalistic perspective, of course, only from a journalistic perspective?
Can you please clarify better the topic? It was
we are talking about the Greenpeace report claiming that Lavazza business was not so green as they claimed.
I haven't investigated the Lavazza case, but I saw some news reports saying that Lavazza was not clear about the material used to produce maybe some containers for Lavazza product used in Sweden, but I haven't really investigated it. Normally I do investigation on the commodities, but I saw some reports. There was no follow-up. I didn't see any follow-up, but maybe Lavazza can answer the question better than I do.
So we are talking about packages, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
but the problem is related to supply chain mostly.
Yeah, but it's more larger question. I mean, like, okay, today is the focus is on transparency, on companies that they are trying to be cleaner and cleaner. Like, as I said, my colleague Valentina, it's more related to have a good reputation with respect to the real the real effort that they are putting to be more clear, more green. I mean, it's clear in this way because we have spoke all the day about clean and investments in to have a green production, and we are still having this kind of reports that are not so clear.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, this is a very large discussion. So I don't know if you are in the master.
Yeah,
But,
I'm part of
so
the
we will resume for sure. I will notice this. So we will resume the discussion within my module on communication. I can grant it to you. Yeah. Another question from the guy.
Yeah, still related to this topic. I mean, I've been working for 5 years for a really polluting company, a big corporation. So I know what greenwashing means. But I also know that like Lavazza case, for example, they are doing a lot in terms of green and to be to like create a better world and with their initiatives. And I think all of that is admirable and respectable. And it's not easy to completely change a system in which you are in. So there will always be some gap, maybe, like in this case, as being supplied by someone that is contributing to the deforestation of Sweden, for example. But I think that at the end, these big corporations are always driven by bringing some plus in the profit at the end of the year. And this growth that we always have to look for sometimes is the cause of this pollution and all we are in. So maybe this question is more for Stefano. Is there any initiatives in European Union or in the world to not see growth just in economic terms for corporation, but maybe growth should be, yes, maybe in terms of profit, but also in terms of other aspects like sustainability for the workers that work there, or for all the supply chain and other aspect that brings a plus at the end of the year for the balance of the company. Because I think that as long as the main driver is just the economic growth, it's going to be very hard to really do something clean and green.
Yeah. Okay. So Stefano, just 3 or 4 minutes to respond. This is the last question of this roundtable. Please.
Well, since I'm in principle, I'm a very idealistic person, so I would like to answer this question with a yes, but unfortunately, our capitalistic consumption system is based on profits and never-ending growth. There is no way around it. The growth and the well-being of a country is measured by the product and investments. The European Union is only trying to set up laws which push companies to be transparent about their harmful environmental social impact. So then it's up to consumers to decide whether or not they want to keep buying their products. It's up to the investors if whether or not they want to keep putting their money in financial products which invest in those companies. But it's not the EU which is going to change the mindset of consumers, the mindset of investors. The EU can only provide the legal framework, actually creating a transparency to reduce the possibility of greenwashing and make sure that all the stakeholders know what's going on in the supply chain and in green finance. But the EU is not driven by values. It's driven by market and business. The business can only be sustainable if the investors and the consumers decide to divert their purchasing power from unsustainable activities to sustainable activities. But of course, the trade-off between profits, affordable prices, and environmental social values is always a very hard decision at the public level, also at individual level. Each of us would like to change the world for the better, but we also need to make a compromise with our the material standards of living. So that's a philosophical discussion. I don't feel that any law can make a change if there is not public awareness and really the will of individual society as a whole to change.
Thank you, Stefano. I don't know if you have to go or if you could stay with us for the virtually, of course, stay virtually with us for the last part of our seminar. Now, I think that we can close the roundtable and go straight to the very last part of the seminar, because we have a special announcement to give you. So we are gonna present the 2005, the Festival for the Earth, that will be hosted in Turin 2025, hosted by Politecnico. Yes, and so we have a couple of presentations on this specific topic. It will be really a great happening. Hopefully, we will be running it in 2025, as I said. So the first presentation is the one from Daniela Carrea. Where is Daniela? Oh, Daniela Carrea is the producer and partnership manager of the Festival for the Arts since very long time. So she possibly witnessed it, the first edition of the four.
Thank you, Marco Merola, and thank you, Marco Piras, for this invitation. I want to talk about the Festival for the Earth that was a 2-day international forum that took place every year between Venice and Monaco. The aim of this event was to work on the way climate change was communicated 10 years ago. So things 10 years ago. First of all, raising awareness among the general public that 10 years ago had much less information about this problem. And then linking different and very important partners among all the world to become a single one independent reference point within the international debate on how to tackle climate change. But how we wanted to do this? Well, the festival contributed to shaping a new future with positive and constructive messages on how mankind can coexist with nature. It shaped its messages with the contribution of economists, managers, environmental activists, but above all with artists. Artists not like often we had seen, and today we still see.
You forgot journalists and communicators.
Journalists, we don't want journalists.
It's
no.
We want to be everywhere.
It's about the kind of person, yeah, okay. And artists we see today and also many years ago, a kind of a relationship between art and see the world through art and see the nature through art. But how did land artists, green and eco artists, and today above all sustainable art event? But here at the four, artist was considered as a possibility of a new communication language. And why artists? Because they are a special sensitivity, absence of borders, and this kind of approach help to overcome the barriers and reach a new audience, communicating opportunities for a positive change, because the real key word of the forum was the positive thinking about the climate change. And the main objectives of the festival were to accelerate the transition from theory to practice, facilitating networking opportunities between people who are making a difference, spread the message that the response to climate change is also a great economy opportunity that 10 years ago was not so obvious, and contribute to the development of an environmental culture in future generations. But where did this vision come from? It all started with Rebecca Balestra, the founder and creator of the forum, sadly passed away 4 years ago. Here, she is described as an artist working and living in nomadic condition, as she liked to define herself. This description is the best starting point for understanding her and, above all, the festival. She was a woman and artist of huge curiosity and ability to prefigure the future, truly physically and intellectually nomadic. Physically, I want to think about one of her unfinished projects that names Echoes of the Void, and was based on observation and experimentation on her body of what kind of reaction comes from crossing all the desert on the world. The Festival for the Earth, instead, is her best work of synthesis of the complex and the best proof of her intellectual nomadism. Thanks to her vision, edition after edition, we have had guests like Nigel Tapper, Nobel Prize with Al Gore, Dan Fagin, Pulitzer Prize with A Story of Science and Salvation, Livia Savorelli, Espo Arte, Cristina Fiordimela, Fondation Le Corbusier Paris, Kenneth Weiss, Pulitzer Prize with a work about the links among science, environment, and public health, Giuseppe La Spada, multimedia artist that worked with Franco Battiato, Marco Mengoni, Ruiki Sakamoto, also involved in the second edition of the festival as speaker. And so on. I could name many other speakers of international reputation. But as you can see, looking at the speakers and also to the partner, Rebecca succeeded in linking the various kind of relationship between man and nature, both from an artistic and scientific point of view, creating not an event, but an artistic work, which, like the true art do, it's made to survive its creator and acquire new meanings through times. And it's for this reason that we are here today with all of us, with Marco Piras, Marco Merola, and one of the partners of the festival, the Foundation Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change, here represented by Mauro Buonacore, which I will now let speak. Thanks you all, and see you very soon.
Thank you, Daniela. I myself remember when I was invited in 2019, just before the COVID came, in the Monte Carlo edition of FOR. It was really exciting to me. I was sitting in between of Kofi Annan on a side and Julian Lennon, the son of John Lennon, on the other side. So it was really exciting to me. So it's really a great atmosphere. I really hope that in 2025 we can host the first new edition of the FOR Festival. So thank you, Daniela. The next and last speaker of the day is Mauro Buonacore, head of the Communication and Media Office of the CMCC, Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. So he will explain us how the CMCC is linked to the FOR since a while, since quite a long time, and what is the role of CMCC into the festival. So please.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Thank you to Politecnico for the invitation. And hi, yes, I am Mauro Buonacore, at Communication of CMCC. CMCC, the Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. Is a research center. So what we do is research on climate sciences. And our focus is to understanding the interaction between climate change and society. The word interaction is very important, is critical, because the only way to understand how and why climate change is relevant in our world, why it has been defined the most important, the greatest challenge of the humankind of this century. I think that the word interaction is very important because what CMCC studies is the way our lives, human lives, are changing the climate, and at the same time, how the changing climate is asking to our lives to change in some way. So what we do? So our mission is to investigate the climate system and the interaction with all the socioeconomic sectors of the society. So we start, our center is structured in three main institutes. which are the description of how multidisciplinary and international the center is. We have one of these institute deals with the physics of climate change. So the physics of the atmosphere, the physics of the ocean. And so basically we provide climate scenarios. So hypotheses of which is the future that we expect in terms of climate indicators and climate change. It is important to say that we study and we provide climate scenarios at the global to local level, because the climate is a global system with the impacts, relevant impacts at a very local level. So our models are able to downscale till the urban dimension, and it is very important, especially for the collaboration with the other institutes and to understand how the physics of climate change interacts with socioeconomic systems. Because we know that the climate change is cross-cutting all the sectors of society. So it is studying climate change means to understand how our tourism is going to change, our water management is going to change, the way we produce and consume food is going to change, the way we consume and produce electricity is going to change, and also health is impacted, human health is impacted. So the local dimension is very important, and the second institute is dedicated to the resilience of our socioeconomic sectors. So we start with models and the physics, and we continue studying the impacts of the climate change, the actual current impacts and the expected impacts in many, many different sectors, from agriculture to wildfires, for example, to energy and so on. And then we come to the economic dimension. So we have a third institute that studies the environmental economics. So how our economic system and energy system interacts with the environment. Of course, our starting point is that there should not be an interaction between economics and the environment, but that economics is a part of the environment. So the biosphere is the framework within the economics interact. Okay, so this is the framework of our research. Sorry. So we can do all this research because we have a supercomputing infrastructure, which is the most prominent and powerful in Italy among those dedicated only to the study of the climate change. But we are a research center, so we have many scientists, we have physicians, we have experts in mathematics, in engineering, in also architecture, urban planning, and so on. But also dissemination is very important. Why? For several reasons. One of the reasons is because we are provider of knowledge, okay, as a research center. And most of this knowledge comes from projects funded by public institutions. And so we are committed to guarantee that the knowledge that we provide is also understandable for people. It is not only for the community of peers, so the people, the science community, but it is very important that we also, yes, about public, it is very important that we focus on the words increasing public awareness of climate change. Why? Because as climate change is cross-cutting all sectors of the society, it is impacting all people. So it is impacting, and we dialogue with companies, with public institutions, but it is very important that citizens are aware about climate change. Also because when building adaptation or mitigation strategies, it is very important that people, citizens are involved in these strategies. So if they have to be involved, it is important that when you are involved, you are also informed and aware of what you are talking about. Even if it is a complex issue, okay? Not complicated, but complex. It means that it deserves and requires a systemic approach, multidisciplinary, multi-sectors, and it is not always easy for citizens, but it is important that we make an effort to bring this knowledge, this complex knowledge and multidisciplinary knowledge to the citizens. So one of our initiatives in the field of communication is the Climate Change Communication Award, named after Rebecca Balestra, which was presented and introduced by Daniela. Rebecca was an incredible person because she made a lot of initiatives, and she was always guided in a way to the interest of bringing together arts and science in order to understand the nexus between different parts of the culture. What we have in common with the legacy of Rebecca Balestra. We have in common the award and the legacy of Rebecca Balestra have got in common the idea that there are no barriers between different cultures. We do not have culture of humanities and a culture of science. They are both part of the same culture.
Hybridation and contamination are the keywords.
Yes, yes, it is
I
very
totally
important.
agree with that.
It is very important that we make an effort to make people from different backgrounds to find a common language to dialogue together. And that's what we mean with the word culture, okay? That's what we do in the field of climate sciences, bringing together on the same table, around the same table, architects and engineers, physicians and experts in agriculture and land use and urban planning.
Maybe
and
philosophers or communicators
also,
as well.
also sociologists and economists.
Over there,
Yeah.
Alvise yesterday made a great lesson to us on how to make a good sociology, useful sociology for public, for the broad public.
Yes, it is very important. And the session yesterday was very interesting also about the eco-anxiety. And so why a research center organize an aware on climate change communication? Because we want to increase public awareness. We want to disseminate science-based information and data, and we want to communicate the threats and the opportunities. And in the end, we want to trigger action. It is important that the action is triggered by science-based information.
The five pillar is giving hope.
And giving hope, yes, of course. Yes, because there is threats and opportunities. Okay. So this is a quote by Rebecca Balestra, and the idea of the award is not the award in se. So it is actually a contest. We open a call for projects, so people all around the world can submit their project related to climate change communication. The word communication is intended in the broader sense. So we include all the sectors of the culture, of providing content, from arts to events with schools, to journalism, to works on disinformation and misinformation. Because the idea is not to give an award. to a person or a project. The idea is bring together the best initiatives on communications around the world, and possibly to trigger a dialogue, to trigger interaction, to trigger. So we have collected in these two editions of the award, which is biennial. So the first one was in the 2021, the second one in 2023, and in 2025 we will have the third in
within the Festival for the Earth, as I said before.
Exactly, and in two edition we have collected more than 300 projects from more than 50 countries. And they are collected on the website around seven categories, which include arts, audio and podcast, gaming, also educational content, and journalism. For example, this is the jury. With the projects and the ideas are analyzed by a jury of experts. And the evaluation criteria of the last edition were level innovation, expected impact and engagement, the capability to reach new and wide audiences, and the reliability of information and data provided. This is the winner of the last edition, an Indian director who made this documentary, very interesting on the phases of climate resilience. And we also had several mentions for different sectors. The award is an idea. The award is a platform. The award is a collector of initiatives around the world. We organize a series of webinars where participants of the world are called to contribute and dialogue each other on specific topics. The last edition was organized within the Earth Technology Expo and in Fortezza dal Basso in Florence. For example, we had at this edition John Cook, which is the Australian professor who is the founder of Skeptical Science, the first ever web portal against misinformation, climate misinformation and disinformation, who participated to the award with the mobile application Cranky Uncle, which is a mobile game to understand and improve knowledge about climate and how to address and face climate disinformation. And so that's it. We will have soon. We will have the new call for projects and ideas. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mauro. We'll be happy to have you and CMCC in the first edition of the new four. I don't know if any remarks from Marco.
Just to say that in the edition 2021, like Politecnico, we have participated with an initiative for a theater show that's called Cambiare il Clima, so change the climate. That was a good opportunity for us, just to use an alternative way to sharing the knowledge, just to open our laboratory, our office to the citizen, to the very wide audience, using for our point of view a very creative tools like the theater representation. That is it was a very amazing experience. That we have the opportunity to submit this idea in the past edition. So this is, I think, a really interesting opportunity even for the festival, just to stimulate the initiative, and as you have said before, to create contamination, just to create a networking. But first of all, not only just a join, but also to have a contamination, a positive contamination, and to open the mind, just to have a more multidisciplinary vision about, and we have seen this morning, an holistic solution for organistic also action to how to say, to spend our time in research, in communication, in all the factors that are positive for in this case for having a positive results about the climate crisis. That is what I think about you.
Yeah, I think it's important right now to put efforts together to enhance communication on such topics and themes, because I think either the scientific community, but also broad public needs to have a clear way to go on in the next future, no?
So,
Because
as
and also to
Politecnico,
fight against fake news and so on. And
so as Politecnico, we organize the Biennale of Technology, then where we try to open our university to the public audience, creating different in different days. We talk about not only about technology, but even about ethics aspect, or maybe other ethical aspect, or other kind of problems or subject connected to the innovation and technology. And so this is also, I think, a very interesting, and I think that like Politecnico, we are talking about this, that we are strongly considering this opportunity. That's yesterday I talked with the vice rector about this. So maybe then the next day I have another appointment to make a sort of progress about this possibility, and to organize the festival in the 2025. I hope in the next December. So we have more or less 12 months in front of us. But I think that the level, of course, you are absolutely welcome. I think that is absolutely a very outstanding initiative, because we have seen the past participant, but it's very outstanding, the message that we want to transmit using this festival. Then I think so we have to go immediately to reach these objectives.
so just for closing, maybe just a joke. The final claim could be, we are making Turin great again, but it's so unpopular. So unpopular right now. It's just a joke. Yeah.
Just a
Okay.
comment about this,
Yeah.
because absolutely we have read some days ago, so you share with me this information that the Turin municipality has signed an important agreement, a climate agreement with the European Union, just to be included in the first 100 cities, just to reach the climate neutrality. And then, so I think this is the right direction that we have to absolutely to following. And maybe this initiative is absolutely in this direction. Then I will try to fix, but it's a colleague of mine. I have this honor that the mayor of the Turin municipality is the neighbor of my office. That's I can organize a meeting with him, and I think that is absolutely an opportunity for my university, but also for the Turin. So
the real claim is Politecnico rules.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So I think we are done now.
Thank you.
Okay. So I just want you to say thank you for coming. Thank you for attending both days. I hope you found interesting our discussions, and hope to see you, the students, of course, in the master. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Mauro. Thank you to all the speakers that we had in these 2 days.